The entertainment world was left reeling after Stephen Colbert's shocking announcement last night. "Next year will be our last season," he told viewers, revealing that The Late Show would officially end in May. At 61 years old, Colbert didn't simply bow out with a quiet farewell. Instead, he walked away from the show in a move that stunned fans and rattled the entire late-night industry. There was no farewell tour, no extended goodbye, just one explosive moment that changed the landscape overnight. But what could push one of America's sharpest political satirists to disappear from the screen he had dominated for nearly a decade? Was it age? Was it political pressure? Or was there something far more unsettling going on behind the scenes? This isn't just another retirement story. It's a mystery begging to be unraveled. And at the center of it all is the burning question. What was the real reason Stephen Colbert was silenced? The abrupt cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert sent shockwaves through the late-night world. This wasn't just about Colbert being a household name or the fact that his program was a cornerstone of CBS's evening lineup. It was about why it happened. Officially, Paramount, the parent company of CBS, blamed financial constraints, but many critics aren't buying it, according to several insiders. This had nothing to do with dollars and cents and everything to do with power and politics. Colbert, once a standout talent on The Daily Show and a loyal protege of Jon Stewart, had evolved into one of the boldest voices in late-night television. In his final week on air, he openly criticized Paramount for a controversial $16 million settlement with Donald Trump, a donation earmarked for Trump's upcoming presidential library. Colbert didn't mince words, calling it exactly what he believed it was: a big, fat bribe. He suggested the payout was designed to grease the wheels for Paramount's proposed $8.4 billion merger with Skydance Media, a deal still awaiting FCC approval. That cutting criticism of his own parent company came just days before Paramount abruptly pulled the plug on The Late Show. The timing was suspicious, to say the least. Was Colbert fired for jeopardizing political favor? Had he simply become too bold, too outspoken, too much of a liability for a media giant desperate to keep the FCC on its good side? Meanwhile, Jon Stewart, the godfather of modern satirical news, also sensed that something strange was unfolding in the world of late-night television. In a July 17th podcast episode, Stewart confessed, "My spidey senses are activated." Although The Daily Show was still on the air, Stewart admitted that an air of uncertainty hung over the industry. There had been no calls, no warnings, just an ominous silence. Still, Stewart maintained his defiance, quipping, "I've been kicked out of worse places than this," though his concern was clear. Without The Daily Show, he suggested, what would be left of Comedy Central's relevance? Aside from South Park, the network was, in his view, on life support. This raises an even bigger question. If The Late Show could be canceled despite its legacy, strong ratings, and cultural impact, what does that mean for the rest of late-night television? Has the golden age of political satire finally come to an end? Buried under corporate caution, political compromise, and financial restructuring? What makes Colbert's departure even more suspicious is the nature of the exit. This wasn't a mutual decision, a contract expiration, or a shift in creative direction. It felt like a purge, a calculated move in a larger corporate and political game that extends far beyond TV ratings and ad revenue. The news hit the public with no warning, and within hours the internet was ablaze with speculation. From Reddit threads to posts on X, formerly Twitter, fans and media watchdogs began asking the same question. Was Colbert punished for speaking truth to power? At some point directly to the pending merger, framing it as a high-stakes political chess match involving the FCC, influential investors, and behind-the-scenes power brokers. Others believe it's part of a growing trend where major corporations cut loose voices that challenge the system, replacing them with safer, controversy-free programming. Even Jimmy Kimmel, another late-night heavyweight, spoke out against CBS, blasting the decision to pull the rug out from under Colbert. The solidarity among comedians was obvious. To them, this wasn't just the loss of one show, it was an attack on the future of the entire format. And in the middle of all this chaos, another layer of intrigue emerged: Donald Trump's reaction. Would he see Paramount's $16 million payment and Colbert's firing as a victory? Or as something more? Trump wasted no time gloating, posting on Truth Social. I absolutely love that Colbert was fired, mocking his talent and ratings, and extending insults to other late-night hosts. He even praised Fox's Greg Gutfeld as superior to all of them. Ironically, Trump had played a central role in shaping Colbert's career over the past decade. Since taking over The Late Show in 2015, Colbert transformed the program into a satirical powerhouse, relentlessly skewering Trump's political rise. His sharp wit and fearless commentary made him a nightly thorn in Trump's side, while also earning him millions of loyal viewers. Colbert's political edge brought both backlash and success. In 2024, despite the tension, The Late Show averaged more than 2.4 million viewers per episode across 41 new episodes, earning its 6th Emmy nomination for Outstanding Talk Show and continuing to rack up accolades like the Peabody Award. But the same boldness, the very trait that fueled his rise, may have been what led to his fall. Now, with Trump celebrating, Paramount maneuvering, and Colbert refusing to fade quietly, the fight is far from over. In his first show back after the cancellation news, Colbert came out swinging. Responding to Trump's jab about his supposed lack of talent, Colbert shot back, "If I'm so untalented, how could I come up with this?" Before delivering a razor-sharp, satirical blow, "Go bleep yourself for the next 10 months. Whether this marks the end of Colbert's run or the start of his next battle remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the drama swirling around his departure has turned late-night TV into the center stage of America's newest political media chess match. It all began with a clever play on words, a sharp jab aimed squarely at the man who had tried to dismiss him. Stephen Colbert, true to form, didn't simply respond to the insult. He took the moment, elevated it, and turned it into razor-edge commentary. Donald Trump's mocking tone was nothing new, but this time it carried a different weight. The barb came only weeks after CBS's parent company, Paramount, had agreed to a controversial $16 million settlement with Trump. Officially, the payout was meant to settle a lawsuit over a 60-minute segment involving Kamala Harris. But Colbert, never one to tiptoe around the truth as he saw it, openly called it what he believed it truly was, a big fat bribe. From the stage, he twisted the knife further. With a knowing smirk, he told his audience, "Our losses were pegged at $6 to $7 million a year. I could see us losing $24 million. But where would Paramount possibly have spent the other $16 million? Oh yeah," the crowd roared with laughter. But the message underneath was unmistakable. Colbert was naming names and refusing to go quietly. In classic Colbert style, he didn't stand alone in the fight. That same night, the late-night community rallied around him. Jimmy Kimmel was away on vacation, despite Trump's smug prediction that Kimmel would be the next two full others, stepped up. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Weird Al Yankovic, and surprise celebrity guests joined in, using parody and unity to mock the absurdity of it all. Even the infamous Coldplay Kiss Cam scandal was spoofed, with Colbert grinning and pointing to the screen. "Oh, look at those guys. They're having a great time?" He was laughing at the ridiculousness of it all while fully immersed in the chaos. Still, a bigger question hung in the air. Why was The Late Show really canceled? CBS insisted it was purely a financial decision. It's pointing to leaked figures claiming the show was losing up to $50 million annually. But for Colbert and many watching, the timing felt far too neat. The settlement, the corporate silence, the abrupt announcement, it all seemed suspiciously aligned. And despite CBS's farewell statement filled with praise, Colbert remained. Defiant? "They made one mistake," he told viewers, brow arched. "They left me alive," the audience erupted. It wasn't just a joke, it was a warning. He wasn't finished, not by a long shot. Even seasoned television reporters were blindsided. One veteran journalist, with over 20 years in the industry, called it one of the biggest surprises of their career. But they also made another prediction. Colbert could write his own future from here. His voice, timing and ability to cut through the noise hadn't been canceled. And with Trump cheering from the sidelines while CBS executives pointed fingers, the real question became, what's next for Stephen Colbert? Would he rise higher than ever? Or was the system too entrenched for rebellion to succeed? At 61, his sudden departure left fans, critics, and media insiders buzzing. But Colbert has a history of turning endings into beginnings. Far from disappearing, this may spark a creative rebirth, one bolder, more personal, and possibly even more influential than his years on network TV, with CBS confirming the show's end in May 2026. He now holds a blank slate and the freedom to write his next chapter entirely on his own terms. For a man who seamlessly transitioned from Comedy Central's The Colbert Report to late-night dominance, the possibilities are wide open. One obvious option is streaming. As platforms like Netflix, Apple TV Plus, and Amazon Prime are constantly hunting for prestige content. Colbert's signature blend of intellectual humor and political satire could thrive in an environment with far fewer corporate restrictions. Imagine a weekly political satire program, uncensored, unapologetic, and fully unleashed. Think Jon Stewart's Apple TV Plus series, but with Colbert's sharper irony and biting edge. Others believe he could return to what he has always loved most, storytelling. Colbert has long admired authors like J.R.R. Tolkien and often speaks about the transformative power of literature and imagination. He might step into producing, writing scripted shows, or even creating fantasy-based content and animation. With his production company, Spartina Industries, already operating, he has both the resources and the team to create without needing a desk, a suit, or a studio audience. There's also the increasingly lucrative podcast route. In today's media world, many high-profile figures have traded cameras for microphones, reaching millions through audio storytelling. A Colbert podcast would be an instant hit, blending wit, wisdom, and cultural commentary. Whether riffing on political absurdities, diving into philosophical debates, or hosting quirky interviews with his trademark warmth, he could easily attract a fresh global audience. Then there's the personal side. Colbert has faced profound personal loss and often speaks about how humor and faith have helped him heal. He may choose to step back briefly, reconnect with himself, and explore projects that are more introspective documentaries, essays, or faith-driven content that reveal a side of him the public has only occasionally glimpsed. One thing is certain, he will not remain idle. With decades of experience, a fiercely loyal fan base, and a mind that never stops turning, Colbert is poised to redefine what post-late-night success looks like. If his past reinventions are any guide, the next version of Stephen Colbert could be even more daring, personal, and culturally impactful than the last. But the shock of his departure isn't just reverberating among fans, it's echoing through politics and entertainment alike. The sudden exit quickly became a flashpoint, drawing in lawmakers, fellow entertainers, and media veterans. And at the heart of the storm lies a pointed question. Was this really just about money, or had Colbert's fearless criticism finally become too much for corporate and political powers to stomach? On the night before the announcement, Democratic Senator Adam Schiff appeared as a guest on The Late Show. The next day, he took to X, formerly Twitter, to voice his skepticism. If Paramount and CBS ended The Late Show for political reasons, the public deserves to know, and deserves better. Senator Elizabeth Warren echoed the sentiment, joining a growing chorus demanding transparency. Late-night peers were equally stunned. Over on ABC, Jimmy Kimmel posted a brief but heartfelt Instagram message, "Love you, Stephen," followed by a pointed jab at CBS. On NBC, Jimmy Fallon expressed his disbelief, calling Colbert one of the sharpest, funniest hosts to ever do it, and admitting he thought they'd ride this out for years to come. Even Hollywood voices joined in. Actress Jamie Lee Curtis, fierce Trump critic and planned guest on Colbert's show, told the Associated Press they're trying to silence people, but that won't work. We will just get louder. Financial trouble in late night is nothing new. Ratings have slipped across the board. Ad dollars are shrinking, and younger audiences are turning to short-form content. CBS recently axed After Midnight with Taylor Tomlinson, while NBC scaled back The Tonight Show and cut the band from Late Night with Seth Meyers. Yet, The Late Show remained number one in its time slot making, its cancellation all the more baffling. Author and media expert Bill Carter, famed for The Late Shift, called the official reasoning shaky at best. Colbert's relentless Trump takedowns, his public roasting of the $16 million settlement, and the timing of the Paramount's Cadence merger, all of it mattered, Carter warned. If CBS thinks people are just going to swallow this, they're really deluded. Even industry insiders saw the symbolism. Andy Cohen, once part of CBS, lamented, "It is a very sad day for CBS. They are turning off the lights after the news." And political figures like Senator Bernie Sanders dispensed with subtlety altogether, writing on X. Stephen Colbert, an extraordinary talent and the most popular late-night host, slams the deal. Days later, he's fired. Coincidence? No. Still, pushback came from the other side. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr accused Colbert's defenders of treating him like a loyal DNC spokesperson entitled to an exemption from the laws of economics, making it clear he wasn't buying the political censorship angle. What's undeniable is that this is bigger than the end of a show. It's the start of a battle over free speech, corporate influence, and the future of political comedy. So was Stephen Colbert's exit really about the bottom line, or is the deeper truth hiding in plain sight?